Hi, Year 3. Well done for making it to Friday and getting through a week's worth of English work. Today we're going to be looking at a piece of descriptive writing together, and I'm hoping that you're going to produce your own fantastic version of a piece of writing. Now, don't worry if you think, oh, I'm on my own, I'm not going to be able to do this. I'm going to talk you through each step one at a time and talk through how we can go about doing this. The things that we're going to talk about are things that we've done before in class, so it shouldn't be anything that's too new to you. It's just trying to use those ideas again in maybe a slightly different way. So we're going to start by looking at a PowerPoint together. Now, this PowerPoint, like I say, takes us through step by step the various points that we're going to be looking at today. So we can see that it is writing to describe, and we've got a lovely image in the background there that we're going to come back to and talk about in a little while. Okay, so you are going to be describing a scene today, much like one that we can see in the background a moment ago. We're going to be thinking about different, I'm going to call them tricks. It says devices on our PowerPoint here, but different tricks that we can use to make our writing interesting. And to do that, we're going to be thinking about using interesting vocabulary and thinking about the ways in which we can describe things. And by using those tricks, by using those techniques, hopefully we can produce a piece of very interesting creative writing. Now, on this PowerPoint here, I've put a link to a video that we're going to have a look at together. Now, this PowerPoint is in the folder again today, so you can always come back and have a look at this PowerPoint on your own if you want to, and you can join the link there. But I've chosen this video that I would like to show you because I think it breaks it down really nicely, and I think it's quite a good way of putting our piece of descriptive writing together. So I'm going to play you this video. Look at the images that you're going to see and think about the vocabulary and the words that are being used as well. Okay, so here we go.
It's great too to take some pictures of this fantastic coast so I can show people where I've been. But sometimes it's good to be able to write about the landscape as well. How do we describe the view from here? What do we see? Well, there's the sea. And there are cliffs and rocks. What can we hear? There's the noise of the waves, the wind, and there's a seagull flying overhead. There's crashing. There's surging. There's falling and shrieking. How is it happening? Angrily. Loudly. So we've got some useful words, but we need to do a bit more work with them to create a really good description. This is what I came up with to describe this view. From where I'm standing, I can see the blue sea stretching away into the distance. The waves surge angrily towards the cliffs. They crash into the dark rocks with a deafening noise. Overhead, a seagull hovers on the wind, shrieking loudly. So the next time you're out on the landscape, just look at it or take pictures of it Have a go at writing about what you can see.
There we go. So you can see there from that video clip that one of the techniques that he was using was thinking about the senses, and that's something that we've talked about a lot in our writing when we've been in class together. And using those senses, he was coming up with lots of different word types to try and piece together those sentences. And that's what we're going to have a look at doing today. So thinking about the senses and thinking about the different word types and looking at how we can use those. So if we go back to our PowerPoint that we were looking at before, we can see that's where we left it with our video link there. We can see that on the next slide, we're going to be thinking about our word types. So of course, we've got our adjectives. So adjectives are words that describe nouns. And nouns are our naming words. Okay, so for example, we've got the shiny mirror there. The adjective describes the mirror. The mirror is the noun. Shiny is the adjective. It describes the mirror's appearance. And without this, the reader wouldn't know if the mirror was clean or dusty or what it was like. It would just be like a mirror. But we've got a bit more of an idea now, just from that one adjective in that sentence there that tells us a little bit more. Okay, and there we have our noun, the mirror, which is the name of the people, the place, or the thing. So take a moment just to have a look at that picture again now in a bit more detail. What adjectives could we use to describe that image? Okay, so remember those are the describing words. So we've got to look at those nouns there. What have we got in that picture? We've got elephants, we've got zebras, we've got giraffes. So how would we describe those animals there in the picture? We might think of them, maybe that elephant as being very majestic looking there, or we might think of the giraffe, always think of them as being very elegant, the way that they stand so tall. We might look at the water and think about maybe it looks a bit murky there. So the adjectives describe the nouns that we can see in the picture. Okay, so the nouns, well, we've got quite a few nouns that we've just talked about there already, haven't we? Okay, so we've talked about them. We could maybe talk about the plants, the water. We can see the sky in the distance as well. Those are all the different nouns. But there are some banned adjectives that I'm going to say that I would rather you not use today, because we are always on the lookout for having interesting adjectives, okay? Because as writers, we need to be as creative and interesting as possible. So this means we use a wide range of vocabulary. So if your adjectives or our adjectives that we come up with were on the banned list, we're going to have to think of some new ones. So I've got fingers crossed that ours aren't going to be on that banned list. So look at what have we got on here? We've got big, large, nice. It's not a good one, is it really? Grey, tall, short, green, beautiful, wet, old, small, right? I don't think we had any of those on our list. That's good. So in your writing today, if you can try and keep away from those, what we're going to call our boring adjectives, that would be brilliant. Okay, always try and think of something a little bit different, a little bit more unusual, and push yourself to think about what they might be. Okay, remember, we want those wow words when we are thinking about your adjectives. So our nouns and our adjectives, they go together. We're describing our noun. But within our sentence as well, we need to think about the verbs. Now, in the video, we saw lots of things going on then in the picture of what the seagulls were doing, what the waves were doing. And so in the picture that we're going to be looking at, and you're going to be looking at as well, we need to think, well, what could be going on in that picture? What's happening? Because verbs are our action words, they're our doing words, and they very often end in ed or our ing ending, depending on the tense. So our ed ending would be if it's in the past tense, it's something that's happened. Our ing is our present tense, so it's happening right now. So the lion roared. So the lion we've got as our noun, that's the noun that we're describing. And then we have got our verb, what the lion is doing. And because it's an ED ending, that means he was doing that in the past. It's in the past tense, okay? So what other verbs could we use in this picture? So we've talked about our nouns. What could they be doing? Well, maybe we could be talking about that zebra there. Looks like he's searching, he's looking with his eyes there to see what's going on around him, okay? Or maybe that elephant could be plodding along because they're so big and so heavy that they're going to be plodding along. The leaves on the water that I can see there, I imagine them drifting along just very slowly in the water. So our verbs are our doing words. So we've got to look at our picture and see what verbs we can see. Now, of course, with a verb, what makes it more interesting is if we use our adverbs. So remember, our adverbs describe our verbs. So they add that bit of extra detail to explain how the action is done. So an adjective describes our noun, it gives it a bit more detail, and an adverb works in the same way. It tells us a bit more detail about how our verb is actually done. So the lion roared slowly. So remember, our lion, that's going to be our noun. Our roared, is that a verb or is it an adjective? It's a verb, isn't it? Because that's our doing word. And then slowly is our adverb. It describes how the lion was roaring. So it was obviously like a soft, gentle, slow roar. Okay, and it just gives us a much clearer image about what was going, how the lion was roaring. So thinking about those verbs that we came up with just a moment ago. So how could we use adverbs to go with them? Well, we talked about the zebra looking, searching. What adverb could we use to describe that? Inquisitively, there's a good adverb. If you're inquisitive, that means you're wondering, trying to work out what's going on. So the zebra was searching inquisitively. Different type of adverb to use. The elephant might be plodding along slowly, might be plodding along, okay, in that slow pace, because again, we talked about them being very big, very large animals, so it's going to have that slow plodding, okay. We could talk about the giraffe. Maybe we're talking about being elegant. Well, they could be moving gracefully as they're going through the jungle there. So we've got our adverb gracefully as we're moving through. So you hopefully from that image there should have some ideas now of adjectives, nouns, verbs and adverbs, which gives us a good basis for our writing to be able to use and put together. So I have made a note of some of those different words that we were talking about there. So on my whiteboard here, I just move so that you can hopefully see them all there. We can see we've got a little table of our noun, our adjectives, our verb and our adverb. And in each column here, I've put down some of the words that we talked about. Okay, so we've got our elephant, giraffe, zebra, plants and the water. Those were the objects that we could see in there. These are our adjectives here, okay, that when I looked at the picture, I was thinking of. So we talked about the word elegant and majestic, luscious, because it was so green. Those plants were so green in that picture. The murky water, and it was colourful. The whole scene itself was a very colourful scene. The verbs that we talked about, searching, that zebra, searching, looking, munching, because I can imagine them munching and looking for their food in there. The elephant trumpeting with its trunk there as it's making all its noise and showing everybody, okay, that it's there. Plodding, we talked about, and then that the leaves in the water, we talked about drifting, didn't we? Okay. So then we thought about our adverbs: gracefully, hungrily, slowly, inquisitively, loudly. So this here is our collection of our different word types. And once we've got this written down, then we can use these words to put together our sentences for our descriptive writing, just like we saw on the video. So again, I've taken those words there and I started to put them together in sentences. So far, I have got: the majestic elephant stood trumpeting loudly to all the other animals in the jungle. So we can recognise some of those words in that first sentence there, but when we've added a bit more detail to explain a little bit more about what's going on. Next to him, we talked about those word types as well, didn't we? Next to him, what type of word would that be? Next. That's our preposition, isn't it? What we talked about last week. Next to him, the zebra's eyes searched the surroundings inquisitively. So it's looking. Now, I've only used some of those words from the list that I had there. So I could keep going with those different word types and keep adding to my description and thinking about my openings. Okay. So what I would like for you to do today is to think about using a picture, of which there are some in the folders that you can use, but equally you can find your own if you want to. And I want you to come up with your different word types and then pop them together in a piece of writing. So once you have done that, if you could take a picture of your piece of writing and then send it to us through the email, that would be absolutely brilliant. And we will really look forward to seeing what you have managed to put together. So I hope you enjoy your piece of writing. Choose a picture that you think you're going to enjoy. That's the trick to this. And then use those techniques and those tricks today to be able to put your piece of writing. Let us know how you've got on. Good luck. We look forward to seeing what you've done, and we will be in touch with you soon. Bye.